Greetings, gaming citizens. Mike here. It's the end of another fantastic year in video games. And I say fantastic just in terms of the variety of stuff we've gotten. Um, Obviously, there were a lot of hiccups in the industry, a lot of layoffs. Um, I don't want to say the good outweighs the bad because the bad is definitely bad, but there were a lot of good games that came out this year from AAA and indies alike. And now it's the end of the year, and it's time to see who might take home the gold, or in this case, whatever the hell those Game Awards trophies are made out of. Either way, they look pretty heavy. I would know. I've seen one of them. But yeah, before we get into things are going to be a little different. Well, okay. They're not really going to be too different, but what is different is this one disclaimer that I have. For anyone that knows me, I started working in the games industry last month for about a month. It was at the very end of September. That's besides the point. This is to say that these predictions were not developed with any insider information. I do not have any insight as to who's getting nominated. I don't have any knowledge of anything that the jury is saying. I have zero connection with the Game Awards. So these are still being made in good faith. These are genuine predictions that have not been affected by any of my professional work. Just want to make that clear. That is something I never thought I'd have to say, but given the circumstances, I figured it would make sense to just put that out there at the very beginning of this video. So, these predictions are going to be pretty much the same as last year, where the only things that are being omitted are the content creator and esports categories, because content creator is all over the place, and I'm still probably not going to be on the list, so what's even the point? And also, the esports categories are insanely predictable because League of Legends always takes it home. So what's even the damn point? Um, you know, Eventually I just decided to give up on the esports categories. I love esports, don't get me wrong, but predicting it just feels kind of pointless when you know who's going to win every single year. Anyway, with all that said, let's get into who I think will take home a nomination. So, we're going to start with Best Adaptation, since that is the furthest removed from video games. It is purely cinema. Absolute cinema, if you will. So, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which it does count because it came out in December 2024. There was a couple games or a couple nominations that are like that. Shut up. Twisted Metal Season 2. The Last of Us Season 2. Devil May Cry the animation, or anime. I can't tell which one is which. I think Studio Trigger worked on it, and I believe they are based in Japan. And a Minecraft movie. There is a very big difference between what I want to win and what probably will. I have a feeling the Minecraft movie will win. I don't want that. I think Sonic 3 deserves it. That was peak cinema. I thought that was a fantastic movie. But basically, if Minecraft movie wins, that will be very unfortunate. Getting into most anticipated game, again, there's a very clear winner here. So we have GTA 6, shocker. The sequel to Okami, which I still can't believe was announced last year. That was absolutely crazy. Intergalactic, that new IP from Naughty Dog. The Witcher 4, and Cyberpunk 2. Not really much to say here. GTA 6, I mean, come on. What is even the question there? Next, we're getting into Best Debut Indie. So, these are indie games that are developed, these are brand new developers, brand new to the scene. This is going to get a little spicy, and you'll see in a moment. We've got Wanderstop, Blueprints, Starvaders, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Drop Duchy. Now, right away, I know that this is going to come off as a crazy take to some of you. Clair Obscur, by all accounts, is an indie game, and it is a debut indie game at that. It is the first title from Sandfall Interactive ever, and by all accounts, it was developed outside the traditional publisher system. Like, they got some marketing support from Kepler Interactive, but it is, in my opinion, it meets the definition of an indie game. Do with that what you will. I am prepared for the backlash in the comments. And just so you know, spoilers, that's not the last we'll be seeing of that. Next, we've got Best Multiplayer. So we have Elden Ring Night Rain, Battlefield 6, Split Fiction, Dune Awakening, and Ark Raiders, which admittedly, I actually added this last night after hearing about how well that was received. I have a feeling Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will probably make it up there, so one of these is bound to be wrong, but yeah, for the most part, this is kind of what I have written down. Next, we have Best Sports and Racing Game, which I think is going to get a little interesting this time around. We have EA Sports FC 25, Mario Kart World. Man, that was a weird voice crack. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, WWE 2K25, and MLB The Show 25. An honorable mention I want to put on here is Kirby Air Riders. Given the time that it comes out, I don't know if it'll make it into the nominations. Time will tell for that one. But if it does, I think it might get a spot here. Next, we have Best Sim and Strategy Game. We've got Sonderfolk, Civilization 7, Power Wash Simulator 2, Blueprints, and Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evilest Chronicles. Pretty interesting spread of sim strategy stuff. I really hope Final Fantasy Tactics takes it, because I got to review that game for a website I write for, and it was pretty good. So you've got my vote. Next, we have Best Family Game. These are the kinds of games where it's okay to have mom and dad in the room looking at the screen. So we've got Hello Kitty Island Adventure, Lego Party, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. With Fantasy Life, I was surprised at how well that was received and like how well that game performed. Like, I guess a lot of people really enjoyed it, especially those in the cozy game space. Up next, we have Best Fighting Game, which admittedly, I'm surprised I was able to fill out a category with all of these because, truthfully, there are not a lot of fighting games that come out every year because fighting games are generally supported over the course of several years with DLC. But anyway, let's get into the predictions. I have Virtua Fighter 5 Revo, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which I think will take it, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact, or Nen X Impact. I don't know how to actually pronounce that. Next, we have Best RPG, which was a pretty interesting one to go through. We've got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, The 100 Line Last Defense Academy, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake, and Elden Ring Night Rain. Not really much to say here. I mean, we do have a few honorable mentions of like Wuchang Fallen Feathers, Avowed, Rune Factory, Guardians of Ozma, and Dynasty Warriors Origins. Next, we've got what I think will be the most competitive category this year. So, Best Action Adventure Game. Yeah, okay, we'll start with the predictions. I was going to go through the honorable mentions, but we'll just start with the actual predictions. We've got Split Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Hollow Knight Silksong, Ghost of Yotei, and Hades 2. This was a very difficult category to pick games for because, as you can imagine, there were a lot of good things that came out this year. To the point where I think they might make this a 6-game category. If they do, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza will get a spot up here. But the other honorable mentions I've got for this are Assassin's Creed Shadows, Mafia: The Old Country, Shinobi: Art of Vengeance, The Outer Worlds 2, South of Midnight, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, Doom: The Dark Ages, Caves of Cud, Monster Hunter Wilds. There was way too much good stuff that came out this year. We are not even eating good. We are not feasting. We are simply gluttonous for high-quality media. That is how good this has been this year. Going into Best Action Game, quite a few selections here. Quite a few honorable mentions as well. So here's what I have for honorable mentions first. We've got Ark Raiders, Double Dragon Revive, Fragpunk, Onimusha 2, Samurai's Destiny, Borderlands 4, and Dying Light the Beast. So, for my actual nominations, or the games that I think will get the nomination, we've got Ninja Gaiden 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Silent Hill F, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, and Battlefield 6. Best VR and AR game. Admittedly, this category is always difficult to really populate with games because VR is not widely supported. But this time around, I think we've got one VR game that will clean things up. So, you'll see in just a moment. We've got Deadpool VR, World War Z VR, Dreams of Another, Ghost Town, and Arcane Age. I wish VR was more accessible because some of these games looked really cool when I was doing research for this video, but yeah, maybe in another life. Next, we've got innovation and accessibility, which honestly, I feel like these predictions are pretty weak because I just go through caniplaythat.com, which does like accessibility reviews. The problem is that they're one of the jury, and I am not well informed on accessibility features in games. So I don't want to call this a throwaway category, but I just gotta pick the games with the best reviews. Anyway, here's what I have anyway. I said anyway twice. Call of Duty Black Ops 7, South of Midnight, Mythwrecked Ambrosia Island, Doom the Dark Ages, Split Fiction, and Atomfall. Best mobile game. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying at least one of these is, I believe, a repeat from last year's predictions, because Hoyoverse likes to constantly submit their shit for mobile game, because they're always putting out like 1, 2, maybe 3 updates a year, and it's like fresh enough that it gets the nomination again. I don't know how it works. Honestly, I don't really care about mobile games. But anyway, here's who I think will get nominated. We've got Zenless Zone Zero, Sonic Rumble, Persona 5 The Phantom X, Pokemon Friends, and Destiny Rising. Next, we've got a pretty hard hitter. We've got Best Indie Game. It goes without saying there were a lot of good indie games that came out this year. So we're going to start with the honorable mentions. We've got Mina the Hollower, which I believe was actually delayed to 2026, which is very unfortunate. I was really looking forward to that game. Despelote, Anton Blast, Repo, Schedule 1, Hyperlight Breaker, but I did hear some not too great things about that game when it was in early access this year. Rift of the Necrodancer, Sword of the Sea, Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo, Wanderstop, and Ball X Pit. Now, a few of those might be a surprise, but just wait until you see what I have for nominations. We've got Hollow Knight Silksong, go figure. We didn't wait 8 years just to see it not get a nomination. Blueprints, Peak, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Hades 2. Again, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate or some kind of like flaming in the comments for saying Clair Obscur is an indie, but I really think it counts as an indie this time around. It's a, kind of a small group of like, well, I don't want to say small group because truthfully, there were like 400 different people from like Codev Studios that contributed to this, but the core team was about 35 people. It was a brand new studio. I might actually just make a separate video diving into like what makes an indie. Let me know if you want to see that in the comments down below. Anyway, we've got Best Ongoing Game next. So these are your MMOs and live service and everything. So a lot of this is going to be pretty predictable. We have Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, World of Warcraft, Helldivers 2, and Dune Awakening. World of Warcraft, I feel like, deserves a spot here because the War Within expansion was, from what I gathered, was pretty well received, and all the stuff I've been seeing about Midnight, it's really picking up to be to make quite the comeback. So that's why I put it on there. Next, we've got Games for Impact, or as a certain group of people would probably call it, the most woke video game category. Okay, I don't actually think that. Anyway, before I get canceled on Twitter, here are the nominations. We have Wanderstop, Despelote, Citizen Sleeper 2, Many Nights a Whisper, and Keep Driving. Next, we've got Best Performance. There were a lot of solid voice acting roles in games this year. So this was also pretty difficult to put together predictions for because there were a lot of fantastic performances. But here's who I have on deck. We have Adrian Ray as Hazel in South of Midnight, Jennifer English as Mael in Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Susie Young as Hinako Shimizu. Shimizu. I am so sorry to my Japanese viewers if I have any. From Silent Hill F. Troy Baker as Indiana Jones from Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Tom McKay as Henry from Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And Erika Ishii as Atsu in Ghost of Yote. There were also a lot of really good performances, like I said, so my honorable mentions are Ben Starr as Verso in Clair Obscur, Charlie Cox as Gustav in Clair Obscur. Can you tell what game had a lot of good voice acting this year? Elsie Bennett as Zoe Foster in Split Fiction, Johnny Santiago as Don Bernardo Torrisi in Mafia: The Old Country, Luca Marinelli as Neil Vanna in Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Probably a few others that I'm forgetting, but those are who I had as honorable mentions. All right, we're getting towards the tail end of things. We've got Best Audio Design. You can really hear my Boston accent coming out there. We have Doom: The Dark Ages, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, because Call of Duty always makes an appearance here for some reason, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Death Stranding 2, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Next, we've got Best Score and Music, which, in my opinion, also deserves a medley at the Game Awards, because, I mean, there was so much good music from video games this year. So, for my nominees, I have Hades 2, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, South of Midnight, Doom: The Dark Ages, and Death Stranding 2. Next, we have Best Art Direction. We have Split Fiction, Death Stranding 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. You're going to see a lot of overlap in the last few categories, given how the Game Awards jury tends to do this kind of thing. Best Narrative. We have Split Fiction, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, Hades 2, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, with an honorable mention with South of Midnight. All right, we're in the home stretch. We've got Best Game Direction, which I still think is kind of an arbitrary category, because how can you judge a game's direction when you're not in the studio while the game's being developed? Jeff, why aren't you writing me back? I'll get off my soapbox. Here are my predictions. Split Fiction, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Death Stranding 2, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. And, unsurprisingly, with how the Game Awards jury likes to do this kind of thing, my picks for Best Game Direction are probably going to be Game of the Year nominees. So, just for the sake of review, Game of the Year, because I made a graphic for this and I still need to show it. Split Fiction, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Death Stranding 2, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, I will give some honorable mentions where it's due. We have Monster Hunter Wilds, Doom: The Dark Ages, Blueprints, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and the Trails in the Sky remake. I originally had DK Bonanza in place of Death Stranding 2, but the more I thought about it, as much as I hate to admit it, like every award show, it's a marketing game. If you have the most sales, you're probably going to be up there for Game of the Year, whether you deserve it or not. And DK Bonanza, truthfully, did not sell very well. So I would like to be proven wrong with its eligibility for Game of the Year, but I am just really not sure this time around. Trails in the Sky remake, I also wanted to see up there because it's one of the top rated games on Metacritic. But I don't know, the Trails in the Sky remake, I'm sure it was good. I'm sure it was great even, but I don't know. RPGs tend to get slept on a little bit by the Game Awards. And Blueprints, I wanted to add it, but it just I struggle. I feel like it's still in a niche of its own with puzzle games. This isn't to say that puzzle games aren't deserving of Game of the Year, but I just, considering who the jury is, like, generally, it's a lot of games media, and this is not insider information for the record. I'm going based on, like, previous year's trends. Like, the Game Awards jury has consisted of games journalists. I feel like as much as they enjoyed Blueprints, I don't think they would put it up as Game of the Year. Again, would be interesting to be proven wrong. I think this is going to be a very fascinating year either way. But yeah, that was part of the logic behind my decisions. So I know there were quite a few hot takes in there. So let me know what you think about my predictions in the comments down below. Was there a game that you think really deserves to be put up there for Game of the Year? Was there a game I completely skipped out on and just didn't even include in any category at all? Like, please let me know in the comments down below. I think, needless to say, this is going to be a very entertaining Game Awards. If Clair Obscur does get nominated for Best Indie, I think the crash out is going to be hilarious. I'm going to be completely real with you. The controversy, I'm going to be sipping my tea when I'm looking at all that. But I'm going to be scrolling Blue Sky. I'm going to see people getting pissed about it. It's going to be fun. But that's going to be it for me this time around. Stay vibing and thriving, and I will see you at the Game Awards.